Ahuvai Achai Vere'ai. Today's class, we're going to speak on the topic of Lechem Mishneh, meaning the bread of Hamotzi, the Lechem that we are, the bread that we are making Hamotzi on Shabbat, Friday night and Shabbat afternoon before the meals, and also on Seudah Shlishit for some costumes, some minhagim that are making Hamotzi. So last class, we spoke about Kiddush and Havdalah, and we said that the Kiddush basically, it's a text that according to some opinion has to be a glorification of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore, according to this opinion, if someone makes Havdalah Friday night, because the Havdalah is also a glorification, so he's good, he did the mitzvah. But according to the opinion that think that the Kiddush is a text that should be read on Friday night, and the Havdalah is a text that should be read on Motzei Shabbat, on the end of Shabbat. So he didn't make the mitzvah, so he has to redo it. So le ma'aseh, of course, according to the first opinion, he is good, but because some opinions are saying that he's not good, le ma'aseh, concretely, he has to redo it. He has to redo only the brachot of the Kiddush itself, not Borei Peri Hagafen. Because if he read the Havdalah, so he did already Baruch Ata Hashem Borei Peri Hagafen, then he made Havdalah. So the Havdalah is not good. He has to redo it with the brachot of the Kiddush. Asher Kiddushanu b'midotav v'ratza banu v'shabbat kodshu b'avav ratzon. Okay, this is the bracha of the Kiddush. He has to redo it. So today, as I said, we are about to speak about Lechem Mishneh, the bread of Shabbat. In the Sefarim, in the Arizal, it says that this bread is a very special bread. And we all know that on Shabbat, we need to do Hamotzi on two breads, two complete breads. This is called Lechem Mishneh. Why are we making Hamotzi on two breads? Very simple, because in the Parashat Beshalach, last week Parasha, we read a pasuk about the man. The man that it was the bread of the Jewish people in the desert, and the Jewish people wasn't allowed to take more than one portion per day. Every day, the man was supposed to be fresh from the same day. But on Friday, Moshe Rabbeinu came to the Jewish people, and he said to the Jewish people, because tomorrow you are not allowed to carry outside of your tent, because it's Shabbat, you cannot carry outside, so therefore you will take two portions. One portion of today, Friday, and the second portion you will eat it on Shabbat. And this mitzvah that Moshe Rabbeinu said to the Jewish people to take two portions, it's called in the word of the Torah, Lechem Mishneh, the bread double, the double bread. And therefore, the Chachamim said that on Shabbat we need to take two Challot to remember the mitzvah of Moshe Rabbeinu to the Jewish people to take two portions of man. Now the Arizal, I said that the Arizal, the student of Arizal write in his Sefer that the bread is very special. And he's telling he's writing in that Sefer that his teacher, the Arizal, used to have every Shabbat 12 Chalot on his table. 12 Chalot. Why 12 Chalot? Because he was saying, because the Shabbat table is like the table of the Bet HaMikdash. It was the Shulchan HaPanim, the table of the Bet HaMikdash, and on that table of the Bet HaMikdash, it was 12 Chalot. Therefore, also on Shabbat, he wanted to have all the Shabbatot 12 Chalot. But he was not only 12 Chalot like that put on the table without any order. He had also an order. He used to put, it says in the Sefer, he used to put the Chalot 2 by 2, one on top of the other, and he was 3 piles of 2 Chalot, like a segol. You know what is a segol? One on the right, one on the left, and one in the middle, a little bit back, okay? One on the right, one on the left, and one in the back, meaning I will make it like that. One here, and one here. That's a segol. So it was one pile of 2 chalot, one pile of 2 chalot, and one pile of 2 chalot. And that was the order that the Arizal, wanted to have on his table. And why he needed 12 chalot? Because of the 12 shvatim and the 12 also chalot of the Bet HaMikdash.
Rabbi, you said 2 is basically 6, no?
Yes.
So 6 at night and 6 in the morning?
Yes. So come the question for us. We want to make like the Arizal, and why not? Why we should not make also 12 chalot, 12 and the answer is, because our chalot is long, right? Is long. Which letter in Hebrew is long like that? Nun Sofit, very nice. What else?
Lamed.
The Lamed is not so long. It has a, yes? Very nice. The Vav. That's the letter I wanted. If you're taking the letter Vav, which numerical value? 6. And how many chalot do we need? 2. 2 times 6? 12.
That's why it's long.
So therefore, we are taking 2 chalot that are straight to make something like the Arizal. We're not making like for real like the Arizal, like it was 12 chalot, 6 chalot on his table, because we need, it says also in the Sfarim that not everybody is able to do it, because you need kavanot, special intention while you are doing it. But what we are doing today, according to halacha, is to take 2 chalot together straight, and those 2 chalot is like 2 vavs, and the vav are 6 plus 6, 12. That's the 12 chalot that the Arizal used to have, and also the 12 chalot of the Bet HaMikdash.
What about the braids? Like some people braid 12 braids. Does that have anything to do with the result? 12 braids?
Yes. So also it says that some people have the custom that the braid, it was, I don't know how do you call it?
The braids.
The braids. It was braids with 6 strings of dough. So basically it was 2 chalot of 6 strings of dough, and that was making 12. Basically, in 2 chalot we had 12. 6. That's 12. Yeah. Some opinion thinks that because we have how many seudot we need to eat on Shabbat? 3.
Right.
1 Friday night, 1 on Shabbat afternoon, and 1 during the Seudah Shlishit. So basically, they're thinking that we need to have, like we said, 12 chalot in total, meaning 4 chalot per meal on the table. So it was 4, 4, 4. 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, that's what. So we see that there is a comparison between the chalot that we have on the table on Shabbat with the chalot that he used to be in the Bet HaMikdash, as we saw from the Arizal. So come the question in mind, the mitzvah to make Hamotzi on the 2 chalot is a mitzvah that the Torah asks you to do, a mitzvah of the Torah, or the Chachamim said that for remembering what the Jewish people used to do in the desert, so we are doing the mitzvah of chalot. But what is the mitzvah? It's the mitzvah of the rabbis, not the mitzvah of the Torah. Again, the Rabbanan or the Oraita, meaning you think that it's the Rabbanan, because we have 2 ways how to look at it. We have the way that we might say that it's a mitzvah of the Oraita, from the Torah. Why? Because it says lechem mishneh, the bread of the double that Moshe gave a mitzvah over to the Jewish people to take 2 portions of man, and from then on the Jewish people took 2 portions every week, and when they entered Eretz Israel, the man stopped and they continued with the bread, but that was a mitzvah from Moshe. Maybe we could say that it was a mitzvah from Moshe that he got from Hashem, that this is a mitzvah from the Torah to have 2 bread on the table every meal of Shabbat.
So Moshe Rabbeinu was a rabbi then?
No, Moshe Rabbeinu, when he is telling something over the Jewish people, is not like a rabbi saying to the Jewish people. Moshe Rabbeinu is the one that gave us the Torah. And if in the Torah Moshe Rabbeinu wrote that you should take 2 portions of man, meaning that Moshe Rabbeinu gave over the mitzvah of Hashem, that we should fulfill that mitzvah from the Torah, not from Moshe. Moshe is not like a rabbi; he is the one that is telling over the words of God, the commandment of God.
So are we saying it's the right now?
So we have 2 choices. We could look first way that the Lechem Mishneh is from the Torah. Second way is, as you said, that it's only for remember. Moshe Rabbeinu gave a mitzvah, yes, of course, but it was the mitzvah for all the generation. It was a mitzvah for the desert. And afterwards, the Jewish people wanted to remember what happened in the desert. So the Chachamim said, oh, you want to remember? So let's make 2 Challot. And every meal on Shabbat, you will eat them. Okay? So we have 2 ways how to look at it. And so let's see what the poskim, the rabbis, said if it's mideoraita or miderabanan, if it's a mitzvah from the Torah or from the Chachamim. We have first the Taz. The Taz, Tet, Zain are the acronym of Ture Zahav. Ture Zahav, the Taz is, his name is David ben Shmuel Halevi Segal, Rabbi David Segal. And the Taz write in his books on the Shulchan Aruch, on the halachot that speaks on the Lechem Mishneh, on the bread of Shabbat, that the Lechem Mishneh, it's a mitzvah from the Torah, meaning, it's a mitzvah of the Torah, meaning that the mitzvah, if you have the choice to buy oil for Chanukah candles, or you have the money to buy Challot for Shabbat, you should buy Challot for Shabbat, because the Chanukah candles are a mitzvah from the rabbis and the bread from the Torah, according to the Taz. I'm not saying that this is the conclusion. I'm just saying that according to the Taz, that's a mitzvah from the Torah, and therefore, this mitzvah, it's just like putting on tefillin every day. We should have 2 bread on the table on Shabbat, every meal. Okay?
But how is he proving it's the right?
Because, as we said, because Moshe Rabbeinu gave a mitzvah, and according to the Taz, that mitzvah was for the generations. So basically, that was, and we will see also from the Gemara how the Taz learns from the Gemara that this is a mitzvah from the Torah. Okay, because in the Gemara it says clearly, according to the Taz, that it's a mitzvah from the Torah. But we have the Magen. Yes.
So he's just saying, just as Moshe Rabbeinu told them, you're going to collect double portion before Shabbat.
Yes.
So apply it to bread now.
Applying to bread, because that the man was the bread of the desert, and today's bread is the bread that we have in Chalot. So therefore, we need to do it with the bread. The Magen Avraham, a second opinion. This is Rabbi Avraham Gombeiner. He was a rabbi in the 17th century, and he was in Poland, yeah. And he lived only 50 years, the Magen Avraham, and he made a tremendous work on the halacha. And this Magen Avraham, this rabbi, comes and tells us in his sefer that the mitzvah to have the bread on Shabbat, it's a mitzvah from the rabbis. So basically, if someone asks you, is it a mitzvah from the Torah or from the rabbis? We have a machloket. We have an argument between 2 rabbis, 2 poskim. We have the Taz saying that this is a mitzvah from the Torah, and we have the Magen Avraham that says that this is a mitzvah from the rabbis.
Magen Avraham always represents the Ashkenazim, right?
The Magen Avraham is not always the Ashkenazic, but because both of them, the Taz and the Magen Avraham, the Taz, he lived in Ukraine, the Magen Avraham in Poland, but they were living so long ago that even if they are Ashkenazic, also the Sephardic looked at their Sefer. Okay, right. So basically the Magen Avraham also, and we'll see what Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, Alav Shalom Zatzal, says. He says like the Magen Avraham. He says that the mitzvah of having Lechem Mishneh on Shabbat is a mitzvah of the Rabbanan, of the rabbis. The Admor HaZaken also lists things like the Magen Avraham. So basically, the conclusion of that machloket is that we should go after the majority of the rabbis. And the majority thinks like the Magen Avraham, and therefore we should say that this is a mitzvah of the Chachamim and not from the Torah. The Taz think that it's from the Torah. We have the Khatam Sofer that think that it's like from the Torah, but it's not. It's only few rabbis saying like that. So of course, if you have the possibility to have every meal the Challot and make yourself the Motzi, it's always better because this is a mitzvah from the Torah according to some opinion. But if not, okay, you could make the Motzi after the one that is in charge of the meal, and this mitzvah will be fulfilled also for you because it's a mitzvah of the Chachamim, of the rabbis.
What proof does the Magen Abraham bring that it's the Rabbanan?
As we said, because he thinks that that mitzvah was only for the people of the desert, and afterwards it's only for remembering what we had in the desert. Okay? So let's go further. After you understand that the mitzvah of Lechem Mishneh, it's a mitzvah of Chachamim, after we understood what the Arizal used to do and how this, what the Arizal used to do, is also applying to our Motzi of Shabbat, we will read a little bit what it says in the Gemara according to that mitzvah. On Masechet Shabbat, page 117, it says, Amar Rabbi Abba. Rabbi Abba says, Beshabbat, on Shabbat, Chayav Adam Levtsua al Shete Kikarot. On Shabbat, a person needs to make the Motzi on 2 Chalot. Dirtiv, as it says, Lechem Mishneh. Because in the pasuk of the man, when Moshe said to the Jewish people to take 2 portions, he says, you have to take Lechem Mishneh, double portion, double bread. So, because it says Lechem Mishneh in the Torah, therefore, we are making Motzi on 2 Chalot, on 2 breads. It's very interesting because in the Gemara there is some sugyot. You know what is a sugya? Sugya is a subject that the Gemara is speaking over, yeah? And usually the sugyot of the Gemara are not repeating itself. There is some sugyot that is repeated, but some sugyot is not repeated. For most of the sugyot, and that sugya, that subject that speak about the lechem, the bread, we see that sugya almost word by word on the name of Rabbi Abba, the same author of that sentence that I just read, in 2 places in the Talmud. What are the 2 places? One in Masechet, in the treaty of Shabbat, and Masechet Brachot, 2 times. So, okay, let's say that the Gemara decided to give 2 times the same teaching. Okay, no problem. It's not a problem. But when you are coming to the halacha, on the Jewish law, it cannot happen that we have 2 times the same law in the Shulchan Aruch. You cannot. But when you are opening the Rambam, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, the Rambam, we see that the Rambam say the same mitzvah, same halacha, 2 times. 2 times. First time is in the halachot, the laws of Shabbat, in the chapter 30. And second time, we see that the halachot of brachot, of blessing. You know, we should bless before eating, etc., etc. And those halachot in chapter 7, the Rambam speaks about the mitzvah of making a bracha on bread on Shabbat, 2 breads. And on those 2 places, the Rambam says, you should know that there is a mitzvah to make on Shabbat a bracha on 2 breads each meal. So come to question why the halacha is telling over 2 times the same halacha. Why 2 times? So we could say that basically we have 2 laws in the halacha of Motzi, of Lechem Mishneh. We have 2 laws. I will tell you 2 ways how to look at this mitzvah of Lechem Mishneh. You know what is Lechem Mishneh? Lechem Mishneh is the 2 breads of each meal that we should have.
What is the Mishnah?
Mishneh is doubled.
What is the Mishnah from which Rabbi Abba?
So in the Gemara, not necessarily the rabbi that speaks on the Gemara is basing himself on Mishnah.
What was the Mishnah of that?
I didn't look on the Mishnah on beforehand, but if you want, the Mishnah right before page 117 on Masechet Shabbat. I didn't open the Mishnah, but there the Rabbi speaks. Okay. So we have two ways how to look on the mitzvah of lechem mishneh. First, we could say that the lechem mishneh is a part of the mitzvah of the seudah of Shabbat. As we said in the beginning of the class, that how many meals do we need to do on Shabbat? 3. Okay. But the sages said, because it's Shabbat, each meal is supposed to be important. Important, meaning something special. Okay, you cannot have a meal just like having a meal in the middle of the week. You should make something that will show that this is something important. Therefore, the Chachamim said the mitzvah of having the 3 times the seudah is basically starting with making hamotzi on 2 breads. So
That's what makes it important.
yes, because usually you are making motzi not on 2 breads. You want to take a piece of motzi, of bread, and you are eating and making motzi. On Shabbat, you want to make it important. Take 2 breads, and this will make important. Yeah, the Bukharian custom is to eat the big matzot. You know the big matzot, right?
I think I don't know if that's...
Is that the Bukharian?
No, I don't think...
Edot HaMizrach, let's say.
I think that's mezonot, Rabbi.
Yeah, no matter, no. Why we are putting it on the table is during the special events. You know, there is a wedding, bar mitzvah, sheva brachot. Always that matzah. Why we should put? Just it's for explaining why we should put it on the table to show that this is something important. Not in the middle of the week, like someone is eating by himself in his home with his family, is putting the matzah on the table. Right? Just like that on Shabbat, you want to show people that you are making right now a meal, special meal. Good. So you are making 2 breads. You are making a bracha on 2 breads, and this will show that this seudah is important. So in other words, the mitzvah of having lechem mishneh, 2 breads, it's a part of the mitzvah of having a meal on Shabbat.
So what about Rosh Chodesh and other Chagim?
So, the Chagim also we need to have 2 portions. Rosh Chodesh we don't have to have 2 portions because Moshe Rabbeinu tell the Jewish people to take 2 portions only before Shabbat, not before Rosh Chodesh, only before Shabbat and before Yom Tov. You got it? So therefore, the 2 portions is not for your Rosh Chodesh.
What about wedding?
Also, the mitzvah of showing that is important, it's only before Shabbat, for Shabbat, okay? For Shabbat or Yom Tov. So, again, the lechem mishneh, it's a part of the meal, okay? We have another way how to look at it. The lechem mishneh is a mitzvah for itself, and it's basically a part of special bracha. To make the blessing on that bread has to be special. Why? Because as we said, this is a mitzvah on Shabbat, right? The mitzvah of lechem mishneh is a mitzvah of Shabbat. Usually, the halacha says that in the middle of the week, if you want to make hamotzi and you have a piece of bread, and you have a complete bread, on which one you have to make the bracha? On the complete one. Why? Because it shows importance. Hidur mitzvah, correct. But when we are coming to Shabbat, Chachamim says, no, on Shabbat everything is lift up, 1 level up, okay? And if it's 1 level up, also your mitzvah to do a bracha on the complete bread, it's also 1 level up. What is 1 level up? To have a second complete bread. You got it? Because we are on Shabbat, not because we are making a meal. That's the first way how to look at it. Because we are on Shabbat, and all the mitzvot on Shabbat are very special and have to be lifted up. So also the mitzvah that you are doing with making a blessing on your bread, supposed to be something with 1 level up. So instead of having one complete bread as usual in the week, you have to add another bread that will make the bracha even better, even special. Okay? So those two ways how to look at it will make basically a difference between a lot and will answer on a lot of questions that we're going to ask and answer according to those two ways how to look at the Lechem Mishneh. Did you get it? Let's ask the question. So we said that we have a mitzvah to make 3 meals on Shabbat, right? If someone comes and he says, look, I'm hungry, I want to make a 4th meal. And for making the meal, I want to make also a Hamotzi. Does he need to make his motzi on 2 breads like one regular meal or not?
Depends which part of Shabbat it is, I think.
Anytime. He made already 3 meals on Shabbat. So he made his mitzvah of 3 meals. Afterward, before Arvit of Shabbat, before Shkia, he's coming to make another meal. Okay? So, does he need to make his motzi on 2 breads or not? So basically, it depends on the 2 ways how to look at that mitzvah. If we say that the Lechem Mishneh, this mitzvah of having 2 breads, it's a part of the meal. How many meals do we need on Shabbat? Only 3. If you're adding from your own 1 more meal, okay, good for you. But you don't need to have 2 breads. Because the bread is a mitzvah that's connected with the mitzvah of having a meal on Shabbat. So if you're adding 1 more meal that Chachamim didn't ask you to do, you want to do it, okay? Good for you. But you don't need to have 2 breads. This is if we are looking with the glasses of the first opinion. But if we are taking the second opinion that the mitzvah of making Lechem Mishneh, it's a mitzvah for itself, and to have a better bracha, a better blessing on it. So of course we need 2 bread on the 4th meal, because it's not connected with the meal, it's connected with the bread. And because on Shabbat, everything has to be lifted up 1 more level, so every time that you will make motzi, you should do on 2 breads. Because you should not make a bracha on 1 bread like usual in the week, you should make it special on Shabbat. Okay? So we see first difference between the 2 ways. If someone wants to make a 4th meal on Shabbat, does he need to make Hamotzi on 2 breads or not? So according to first opinion, no, because the mitzvah of Lechem Mishneh is connected with the meals. And according to the second opinion, yes, because the Lechem Mishneh, it's a mitzvah for itself. And every time on Shabbat, when you are making motzi, you should take 2 bread for making the bracha. Everything clear?
Yes.
Very nice. And basically, we see it in the poskim. We have the Magid Mishneh. Magid Mishneh is Rabbi Vidal di Tuliza. I think that he lived in Italia, I'm not sure, or in Spain. In Tuliza.
Magid, what was his name?
Magid Mishneh. Magid Mishneh is a Rabbi Vidal, that brought his explanation on a very, very famous explanation on the Rambam. And he comes and he says, and he lived basically in the 13th century, very long time ago. And he comes and he say his opinion, and he says, someone that is making a 4th meal on Shabbat, he has to do a motzi on 2 breads. So according to him, we should say that the mitzvah of Lechem Mishneh is a mitzvah for itself and not a mitzvah that connected with the meal. Got it? Very nice.
So it doesn't matter if you want to have 5 meals or 6 meals on Shabbat, you still have to...
Always is good to have 2 breads for having the bracha. The Abu Draham, another rabbi, the Abu Draham also he lived on that same period of the Magid Mishneh. Rabbi David Abu Draham, he also lived in Sepharad in Spain, and he said the same. Someone that is making more than 3 meals, he needs to make a motzi on 2 breads.
Same thing. Okay.
Yes. Next question that we see that two opinions are making difference. On Shabbat, we are making Hamotzi, okay? So we are taking the two breads. Those two breads need to stay on the table during the entire meal, or we could finish them right away. So today we are cutting it, and if it's finished. But maybe because it's a mitzvah, and the mitzvah is also to have a meal on Shabbat, eating a fish, meat. Maybe during the time of the mitzvah of having the meal, we need also the mitzvah of lechem mishneh that we started the meal with. Got it? So the question is, do we need to have this bread staying on the table all the meal or not? So it depends again with the two opinions that we saw earlier. If we say that the lechem mishneh is a part of the meal, so we need the bread to be on the table. Why? Because the lechem mishneh, the mitzvah of it's for the meal, right? So as long the meal is not over, we need that mitzvah to be connected with the mitzvah to eat the meal.
It is connected. It's going.
Yeah, but the lechem mishneh is the bread that you cut on the table, not you cut and you ate. The lechem mishneh is to make the bracha on the two breads. Afterwards, because you make the bracha, so you need to eat. But the mitzvah itself is to make the bracha on the two breads. You got it? So even if it's connected because you ate everything, maybe you need to have the mitzvah itself of the lechem mishneh staying on the table during the entire meal. So if we are saying that the lechem mishneh is a part of the seudah of the meal, of course we need to have those two bread on the table. But if we say that the lechem mishneh, the breads, is a mitzvah for itself, meaning to have a special bracha, to make the blessing Hamotzi lechem min haaretz on a special way, not like in the week, during the week, two bread. So it's not connected with the meal. So you could eat it first and then starting your meal without having on your table the lechem mishneh. Yes, again. If we are saying that the lechem mishneh, that the breads are a mitzvah for itself, as we said, because during the week we are making a bracha on a complete bread already, one complete bread. On Shabbat you have to make all the mitzvot with one level up, right? So you are adding another complete bread. So is the lechem mishneh connected with the meal?
Okay.
It's not connected with the meal at all.
It's its own mitzvah.
It's its own mitzvah to make the bracha hamotzi lechem min haaretz in a special way. Afterward, what you're making, what you're not making, is not connected with the lechem mishneh. This is something else. You got it?
So you don't need it.
So you don't need to be on the table. Very nice. So again, if you are saying that the bread is connected with the meal, of course you need to eat it on the table. If not, if it's a mitzvah for itself, so you don't need to have it on the table. Then another question, and that question, many people might ask it. We are making hamotzi on the two lechem, on the two breads. Is it the mitzvah to taste from each one of the bread, or we are tasting only from one bread and that's it, we make the mitzvah? Is the mitzvah to eat from those two because they are both of them half of a mitzvah, so you have to taste them, both of them, or you have to taste only one of them and that is the mitzvah?
You cut the best one.
You got the best one, of course, yes.
Cut the best one.
So cutting is, let's say, for starting the mitzvah, you have to start with the best way how to do the mitzvah. But maybe to complete the mitzvah, you need also to taste the second challah.
Because he said the bracha on both.
Yes. The truth is that the Gemara speaks about it. In Masechet Shabbat, on the same page that I told you earlier, 117, good. There is the Chachamim are saying what they are used to do on the bread on Shabbat. Rav Ashi comes and he says, you know what I saw by my master, my teacher, Rav Kahana? Rav Kahana used to make a bracha on the two bread, but he tastes only one bread. Only one bread. Come Rabbi Zera says, no, we should take and eat both of them. We should make the bracha and eat on both of them. So the question is, what is the base of their machloket, of their argument between them? Why he says, oh, my master used to taste only one challah, and the second one says, oh, no, you need to taste both of them. Why? What's the difference between them? So in parentheses, just to say more details about those two rabbis, Rav Ashi is basically the last generation of Amoraim. Amoraim is the rabbis of the Talmud. We have the rabbis of the Mishnah. The rabbis of the Mishnah is the Tanaim. The Amoraim is the rabbis of the Talmud. And Rav Ashi is the one with his friend Ravina that closed the Talmud. After them, no one was allowed to change anything in the Gemara. So Rav Ashi is the last one, Ravina and Rav Ashi, last one of the Gemara that did the Gemara, and Rabbi Zera is known by his hard favor. You know, he wanted so badly to go to Israel and to learn the Talmud of Israel, because we have two Talmud. We have the one of Babel and one of Shushan. And he made many fasts to forget the Talmud that he learned in Babylon, to be able to learn the new Talmud, the Talmud of Israel. Okay? So those two rabbis, big rabbis, one says, my master Rav Kahana used to taste one bread, and Rabbi Zera says, no, you should taste both of them. So the base of the machloket, the argument, is the following. Is basically what we saw earlier on the mitzvah of lechem mishneh. If we are saying that the mitzvah of lechem mishneh, to have two bread on the meal, it's a mitzvah that is connected with the meal, right? So we understand that we need to eat from both of them, because the mitzvah of lechem mishneh is connected with the meal itself, right? So you have to start with eating from each one of the chalot, and then you are starting your meal, because the mitzvah of the chalot is connected with the meal. Okay? So basically, Rabbi Zera thinks like that. He thinks that the mitzvah of lechem mishneh is connected with the meal. But if we say, as the second opinion, that the mitzvah of lechem mishneh is only for making a better bracha of Hamotzi lechem min haaretz on two complete bread, so we don't need to eat from both of them, right? We don't need to eat from both of them. Why? Because it's only for making a better bracha, not for having a special meal, right? So making a better bracha is on two breads, but you should not take and taste from each of those two breads. Got it? Okay? So basically we see that those two opinions that we just saw earlier, it's going and on. Huh?
Which one is the halal?
You have to taste only one. You have to taste only one. Okay?
So therefore, can one, if let's say one has 4 breads,
Yes.
one's say out of 2, save the one for the next meal.
Yes, of course. Yes. So basically, you could make the mitzvah with 3 chalot for 2 meals, 3 chalot, 2 on Friday night. You are keeping one for Shabbat, and then the second one Shabbat. Then the third one, yes, of course. But I'm speaking about people that are not making motzi on Suda Shlishit. Then comes a very interesting question. You know, we are asking questions, but also, by the way, I'm telling you new halachot for you to understand and to know a large topics in the Torah. Yes. We have an halacha in the Torah that's called pat palter. Pat palter is the bread of the baker. There is an halacha that says that because the bread is the basics for a human being for living, we don't need to eat the bread from a Jewish baker. Okay? But we need to make sure first that all the ingredients are kosher. Second, you need to make sure that you are making something in the preparation, in the baking, in the preparation of the dough. So what people are making, very early the baker is coming to his store to start to bake, right? So the Jewish rabbi, the Jewish person is coming, and he is turning on the oven. And from then, it's becoming not Bat Israel, it's Pat Palter. It's Pat Palter. But, it's Pat Israel because we are not allowed to eat something that a non-Jewish person started the fire. But is allowing you to eat a bread from a non-Jewish person. Okay? That's called Pat Palter. But by the end of the day, who made it? The goy, the person that is not Jewish. So some people are saying, I want to make better. And I want to eat only from bread that is made by a Jewish person. If it's not a Jewish person, maybe it's kosher, very nice, good, kosher, but not for me. For me, I need some higher level of kosher. Therefore, I will eat only from a Jewish baker, that made the okay. So come the question. This person that makes for himself this chumrah to eat from a Jewish baker, he is sitting in his house on Shabbat, and he see one challah from his wife, and another challah from the non-Jewish baker. And he's asking his question himself. He's saying, I am allowed to make hamotzi on a bread that I'm not supposed to eat?
Why?
Because he's not eating from the non-Jewish baker. And one of the chalot, right? One of the chalot is from the goy, from the non-Jewish person, right? So he's not allowed to eat it.
Why? We just said that so the Jew turned on the fire.
Again,
but he's
yes, correct. I'm speaking about is chumrah. Chumrah he has to do atarat nedarim beforehand. He has to cancel his way how to do every day, right? Got it?
So he just makes hamotzi on the one that his wife made, and not eat the one that the goy made, not the pat palter.
Yes, but the question is, maybe the mitzvah is not fulfilled because the mitzvah asks you to have a bread that is allowed for you to eat.
That's too much. That's a crazy question.
Yes.
So it also depends on your point on how you look at it.
Amazing. So if we say that the chalot are connected with the meal, so we said that what you need to taste from each one of them, so then you have a problem. You don't eat from the pat palter, so you cannot make a hamotzi on those chalot. But if we say that the mitzvah of lechem mishneh is a mitzvah for making a special bracha on Shabbat of hamotzi lechem min haaretz, right? So we must say that he is allowed to use a challah that is not eating from, because one of them is the challah of his wife, or the one that he is able to eat. You got it?
About eating bread after during Birkat Hamazon.
Yes.
Is that derived? Is that a halakha?
Maybe it's connected with what we're saying. There is some such a thing to leave a piece of bread for the chitzonim, for the bad spirits, if we can. Yes, for the bad spirits, we are leaving it.
That's what I'm talking about. Actually having not just pieces of bread, but whole bread.
Whole chalot, no, only piece.
Table during Nevar, during Mikata.
But for letting the bad spirits or for yeah. So this is connected. If we are saying that the Challot is connected with the meal, so of course we need to have it during the meal until the Birkat Hamazon.
Another one. So what does one do in terms of? But then also you need to have at least a certain amount of bread. So therefore, if you had two Challot on the table,
Yes.
stay on the table.
Yes.
What do you just keep up? Is it the commitment to replace them, replenish it? Is that what you mean?
No, after the Birkat Hamazon, you could take it and use it.
Before you said if one holds that the halacha is to keep the two
Yes, on the table.
throughout the meal.
Yes.
Then what does one eat?
If you want to eat them.
Yeah.
So at least you need to have one of them staying on the table.
Full.
Maybe not, because this is the mitzvah of even a small piece.
We always leave bread on the table for Birkat
So,
Hamazon.
but this is for a different reason, because of the chitzonim. Okay, so let's continue. We see that if someone if someone has bread that is not allowed from himself to eat, not non-kosher bread, it's kosher but not for him, he's making a chumrah on himself. So we say that according to the two opinions, it will be the answer. So what he should do? What is the conclusion? We say that basically the Pri Megadim is the mefaresh that says that even if he's not allowed to eat usually pat palter, because he will taste only from one of them that is allowed, he could use the second one for motzi. He could use
So the
even
bracha is
if
not going to bounce off the pat
pat palter.
It's still going to.
Pat palter, the second challah will make him fulfilling the mitzvah of having two portions of chalot, but to taste from the challah, he will taste only from one of them, and this will be enough for fulfilling the mitzvah.
And what should he do with the other one? Feed it to the.
No, you're keeping it on the side. You're not eating from it.
What if his family doesn't eat it?
If the family eats from it, it's fine.
What if the family doesn't eat from it? Do you feed it to the fish or do you feed it to
This is another question. What to do with bread? If you are allowed to throw it, you have to throw it, but carefully.
Stay tuned.
Yes. Then comes another question that is the same. I'm coming in the Friday night or Shabbat afternoon home, and I'm sitting on the table, and I'm looking on the table. I have only one bread complete. I need two, so I'm asking my wife, please, could you bring me one bread? And she says, oh, it's in the freezer. I forgot to take it out. And then you are taking from the freezer the challah, and it's hard like stone. So you cannot eat from it. You cannot. It's freezing, right? It's froze. It's a piece of stone. So you are asking yourself, I am allowed to make hamotzi, right? I am allowed to make hamotzi on two chalot, one that is eatable and the second one that is frozen. So again, if you are saying that the chalot is connected with the meal, no, you cannot make hamotzi because you have to taste from both of them. And one of them is frozen, so you have to wait until the challah will melt, and then you will be able to make hamotzi. But if we say that this is a mitzvah of bracha,
does it really elevate the bracha to have a frozen piece of bread that you can't eat?
But you're not eating it.
Yeah, no, it's elevating the bracha because you are making the bracha on two items, on two breads. No matter which bread, it has to be kosher. But no matter which bread, it has to be two. This is the way.
But Rabbi, we always go with the Hiddur mitzvah, right? That was the agreement. We never said we're doing it to show importance to the meal.
Yes,
we
yes.
agreed on that.
No, we are not saying that always one is right and the second one is always not right. We are just saying that according to some question, sometimes we're going to say like this and sometimes like that. Okay, but we're going to say by the conclusion of this class, how we're going to merge everything in one, so we will not have any problem. But but meanwhile, we're asking questions. Is frozen challah, that was the title of our flyer, is frozen challah allowed for making hamotzi on Shabbat? The answer is, it depends. If the chalot is connected with the meal, so not, we cannot. If it's connected with itself for only making a good bracha, so yes, you could make hamotzi on it. So what is the conclusion on this machloket? Lema'aseh, we say that you are allowed to make hamotzi with one frozen challah, okay, one frozen challah. Why we are allowed? Because we are looking at it on his final way how to be.
Oh, it's normal existence.
It's normal existence. What is normal existence is to not be frozen. So therefore, even if it's now frozen, we're looking at it as if it's not frozen. Therefore, you are allowed to make a mutzi.
Okay, what if the wife sees before the husband comes home from like Musaf?
Yes.
And she's like, oh my God, we don't have a challah. She goes in the freezer. Could she put it next to the stove, or she could put it in the stove like it's already cooked, right? It's already cooked.
So no. I don't want to enter on that because it's very complex.
Tricky.
It's tricky. But you could put the challah outside of the freezer and you're waiting to the from the challah for to melt.
Toast it? You can't put it on the blech?
No.
You can't.
It cannot become a biscuit. You know what is biscuit?
Crispy.
A crispy.
You can't turn a pot upside down, put it on the blech.
This no.
I'm not. It's indirect.
It's indirect, but the challah is becoming a crispy, and becoming crispy is a kind of cooking.
It's not becoming crispy.
Rabbi,
If
you telling me I have pita.
Yes.
Fresh pita, not in the fridge. I can't put it on the blech.
Usually is only outside of the blech, next to the blech, but outside of the blech, and you have to make sure that it's only warming and not making it crunchy. If it's making crunchy, it's becoming problematic. Okay, but you could always ask your own rabbi that you used to ask your question, and he will tell you a
Halachot are very
special. Yes. And therefore, we see that we are allowed to make a hamotzi on a frozen challah. Rav Ovadia Yosef Zatzal comes and says that if you could be machmir, meaning to not make a hamotzi on such a challah, better. So basically, he says, okay, you could do it, but if you could wait or you have a different solution to make hamotzi, better to wait. Than to make on frozen chalot. Okay.
What if it's 2 pieces of frozen?
So of course you have to wait because you are not able to eat. You must eat from one of them. You got it? Come the question and says, according to the Kabbalah, why we need 2 chalot? It says in the Sepharim of Kabbalah, the 2 chalot are lechem min haaretz, the bread of the land, of the earth, and lechem min hashamayim, and the bread of the heaven. One is representing the bread of the earth. Why we need 2 chalot? Another explanation about Kabbalah, because on Shabbat we have a new neshama, an extra neshama, so therefore we need to eat more. One for the regular neshama, and one for the extra neshama. Okay. So what we see from it, and we could learn a lesson from all what we learned today, is basically that during the time of having the meal of Shabbat, we are not only eating for our body like in the weekdays, but we are also eating for our neshama. And for our neshama, the physical food is feeding who? The neshama. Neshama Elokit, the extra neshama.
And the other part is feeding the neshama behemit?
No, so this is nefesh. Nefesh Elokit and nefesh, we are speaking about neshama. On Shabbat we have an extra neshama, a higher level, and the 2 chalot that we are eating basically are one for each neshama, for each, and we could understand from it how important it is to give to the neshama to eat. Not only from food, but also from divrei Torah. It's very important during the time of the meal to have Devar Torah, because the Dvar Torah, the words of Torah that we could share with the family, with friends that are in the meal, are basically also feeding the Neshama. This is the lesson that we could take from this class. Baruch Hashem le'olam. Amen ve'amen.